Stand by. The program will begin soon.
Two-year investigation by the House Weaponization Committee uncovers a two-tiered system of government. Apparently, they put out a 17,000-page report on this. Through its oversight and investigations, the Select Committee found numerous instances of federal government being weaponized against the American people. For example, the Select Subcommittee highlighted censorship by big tech that led Mark Zuckerberg to admitting Facebook was pressured by the Biden-Harris White House to censor Americans, empowered whistleblowers to come forward and have their voices heard despite retaliation by the Department of Justice and the FBI. They protected the First Amendment, leading to the dissolution of the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, GARM, and other organizations that work to censor American speech. They revealed the weaponization of federal law enforcement against the American people, leading to important policy changes for the Department of Justice and the IRS, and uncovered evidence that Biden's campaign coordinated with 51 former intelligence officials to interfere in the American electoral system weeks before the 2020 presidential election by signing the statement calling Hunter Biden's laptop disinformation. So, is there a labor shortage? Ultimately, the entire need for H-1B workers is predicated on a supposed domestic worker shortage. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the current native-born American labor force participation is around 63%. Meanwhile, the foreign-born labor force participation is a stunning 68%. Importantly, per the Wall Street Journal, census data show immigrants who arrived since the start of 2020 are more than twice as likely to lack a high school diploma as U.S. months. He beat not one but two Democratic opponents, swept all 7 swing states, and became the first Republican to win the popular vote in 20 years. He has realigned American politics, remaking the GOP and leaving the Democrats reckoning with what went awry. I'll tell you what went awry. They suck! Okay, moving on.
Did you know that since 1977, Congress has only passed the budget on time 4 times? The last time Congress passed a balanced budget was in 2001.
That was the
Did you know
Congress?
That over the last 6 years, Congress hasn't passed an appropriations bill on time once? In fact, we have had 17 continuing resolutions in the last 6 years.
6 years.
And since Biden has taken office, we have had over 11 omnibuses pushed through. Congress has only passed a balanced budget 4 times ever, meaning we didn't have a surplus or a deficit.
The mainstream has become fringe, and the fringe has become mainstream. There are platforms, there are people out there that are getting 14 million streams. And we're on cable news getting 1 or 2 million. And so there's
not on CNN.
the whole world out there. Kellyanne Conway, I hate to agree with her, but I do a lot of times. Donald Trump understood that.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday Q&A, and let's, the first question today is from our friend Avocado Siamu, who says, have you ever woke up half naked except for a pair of lace panties, a Foot Locker's employee's ref jersey, and a pirate's eye patch stuck in the slide of a children's playground? AD? I'm becoming concerned. I'm becoming concerned. I would love to hear that story, though. Just out of curiosity, I don't know if I really want to hear that story, but no, I haven't. I feel very discouraged to see many influencers turning on some of our biggest fighters in Congress. Instead of going after the 38 who stand on principle and not raise the debt ceiling, but also didn't support the continuing resolution, why are they going after people like Republican Congressman Greg Murphy, North Carolina 3, who was for the original continuing resolution? Or why not just go after the Democrats who are responsible for this entire mess? Why eat our own strong conservatives, especially over something like the debt ceiling, when no one really wants it raised in the long run? Even if the 38 had voted yes on the American Relief Act, it still wouldn't have passed. So what is the end goal here? To get rid of strong conservatives because we don't 100% agree all the time?
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
House report recommends FBI investigation into Liz Cheney over alleged witness tampering while on the J6 committee. So there's this seems to be blowing up in Liz Cheney's face as opposed to getting shot with birdshot by her dad. Here's another one. Taxpayers fund a disinformation index, but the real fake news is that it's useful. The Department of State wasted $330,000 to fund censorship of non-liberal and conservative media. Historically, the largest purveyor of disinformation is the U.S. government, without question. And now, once again, the government has decided to position itself as the ultimate judge of what is true and what is not. Do you think there exists an animal whose shit is actually super delicious? Oh my God. It would have to be some sort of seafood. I don't know. Avocado salad, what would you consider to be the most disconcerting thing about one could see in the toilet after you got done going to the bathroom? Only things that come from inside you count. Well, I think a 14-foot tapeworm would be kind of disconcerting. You'd be like, what the heck? That was inside of me. Okay. Lord Stanhope asks, which member of Congress would you like to catch leprosy? You can name as many as you'd like. Well, let me just start with Jamie Raskin. And Adam Schiff. That's enough. This is lightning round. Avocado Diaby says, why is it that Nancy Mace is the only woman in Congress that does not sound like one of the teachers from Peanuts to me when she speaks? Maybe it's because she's from the South, although her accent is not that pronounced. Somnambule Nation, is this the penultimate? Is this the last question? No, it's not. Lord Stanhope, will you have a Merry Christmas? Melancholy. We already explained that earlier. Select a boy who on The Simpsons has a plan that's good on paper but horrible in execution. Oh, obviously Homer. How many of you remember the name Crystal Magnum? Crystal Magnum. Does that name ring a bell? Anybody? Crystal Magnum. Now, even if you don't know that name, you know. It sounds like a stripper name, doesn't it? Crystal Magnum? That sounds like a stripper name or a porn star name or something like that, right? Well, here's an update in the story of Crystal Magnum. Congress members haven't even received the text yet. The deadline is Friday. This is utter insanity. That is... I don't know if I could be any less accurate or more accurate. I don't know. Congress has last passed a real budget in 1997. Since then, Congress has typically relied on continuing resolutions or omnibus spending bills to fund the government. There should be 12 different funding bills, I guess, normally, and they're doing an omnibus bill and then just put it all on paper the last minute and then just pass it because they want to go home for Christmas. Well, F that shit. So people are saying shut it down. They've typically relied on continuing resolutions or omnibus spending bills to fund the government rather than completing the full budget process as intended by the 1974 Congressional Budget
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been, what can be, unburdened by what has been, what we can see, what we believe can be, unburdened by what can be.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yes, it's me. I made it. I'm alive. And welcome to the show. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel on January 6th. Oh, my gosh. A day that competes with World War II and the Civil War as the most terrible days in American history, at least according to some idiots. And today is the day that we get a joint session of Congress, and I thought, oh, by the way, I have a really, really bad case of the Zackleys, just so you know, as in I feel exactly like shit, and I was up all night throwing up, and both ends actually, the same stuff was coming out of both ends. I'm sure you wanted to hear that graphic, but I don't know. My wife a few days ago had this, and she was out for a couple days, and now it's me, and there you go. No, it's not syphilis. God bless America, Afghanistan. What's wrong with you? Anyway, so I'm going to get through this, but I may take a couple porcelain bus driving breaks, but I'll keep the audio going because I want to watch this. Today's the day. Today's the day to count the votes. I'm sure there's going to be shenanigans and BS happening, and so we're going to do that. But first, let's say hi to everybody, and then we'll get right to the fun. First, the chat today. Ms. Wild Wolf, yeah, congratulations, you get the bell. Also, good morning, Mike Savage, Blard, Avocados Diabli, Kara Soldier, Resolute Germ, Now What Studios, my dear friend Wu from high school. Also, good morning, where did I go? Okay, there we go. Aaron Meredith, Green Badger Outdoors, Select a Boy, also good morning, boy. Tyre, Alexander, The Scourge. Also, good morning. Did I say Green Badger Outdoors? I don't know, but yeah, I did. Reaction Puerto Rico. Free Breather, what's up? What Zorbas do I frequent? The one, well, I have shirts from Pelican Lake, Alexandria, Pequot Lakes, and the original one in, oh shoot, why am I blanking on that? The original one up in, whatever. I can't think of it, but you know. Thank you, Wild Wolf. You got me. Good. I hope so. So anyway, hi everybody. We're going to get into this joint session right now though, because, here, let's full screen this real quick. And this is the House feed. And right now they're just mulling around. Why am I? Right now, they're just mulling around. I'm going to turn their volume down now because, and I really just want to watch this to see how many members of the House from the Democrat side try to sidetrack this, and see how Kamala Harris handles it. Will she handle it like Joe Biden, or will she join in the fun? Who knows? I'll tell you what. Let's not watch this now because this is the dumb part. Oh, wait a minute. There's the gavel.
The House come to order.
All right, let's see what goes on. We're just going to watch this live, and maybe there'll be some commentary. Maybe there won't, because this is the United States House of Representatives feed on YouTube. If I end up closing soon.
Pursuant to the Constitution and laws of the United States, the Senate and House of Representatives are meeting in joint session to verify the certificates. A joint session?
Does that mean she's going to be smoking one of the Snoop?
Of the electors of the several states for President and Vice President of the United States.
Yeah, let's see how this goes.
After ascertainment has been had that the certificates are authentic and correct in form, the tellers will count and make a list of the votes cast by the electors of the several states.
Now, it's interesting. Yesterday, I was seeing a lot of people post that 26 states had not turned theirs in yet, including 6 of the 7 swing states. We'll see what happens. Let the meltdown begin. Yes, exactly. Well, the meltdown, yeah, this will be part of the meltdown, and then the rest of the meltdown will happen on January 20th. By the way, I know there's protesters somewhere in Washington today. I might have to go drive the bus a little bit, so bear with me if I have to just pop off screen here. Supposedly there's protesters at the Lincoln Memorial today saying that Donald Trump is not eligible to be president because of the 14th Amendment, because they can't necessarily read the 14th Amendment.
Without objection, the tellers will dispense with reading formal portions of the certificates.
And don't know what the word insurrection means.
After ascertaining that the certificates are regular in form and authentic, the tellers will announce the votes cast by the electors for each state, beginning with Alabama.
And it'll be interesting to see how many states they object to here.
Senator Fisher.
I have a feeling that the Democrats are told to be on their best behavior so they can gloat about how wonderful they are.
The certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Alabama seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 9 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 9 votes for vice president.
By the way, there's this fantasy going around too that they'll have faithless electors and vote in Kamala Harris instead.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Alaska seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 3 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 3 votes for vice president.
I know. What's this appears? That's what they sent in. All right, who's next? Oh, good God. My senator.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Arizona seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 11 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 11 votes for vice president.
My guess is the objections will not happen until they get to one of those states where there are supposed bomb threats, and it'll be the swing states.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Arkansas seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 6 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 6 votes for vice president.
All right. Next, who's up? Oh, they're just going down the line here.
Madam President,
California.
The certificate of the electoral vote of the state of California seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 54 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 54 votes for vice president.
Of course, they're still not done counting California, by the way. That's kind of funny.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Colorado seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 10 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 10 votes for vice president.
What's wrong with YouTube? Yeah, they're going to do it 50 times, but I'm waiting for the objections. I'm waiting for the fireworks. There's got to be something.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Connecticut seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 7 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 7 votes for vice president.
Anyone off the top of your head know which state splits their votes? One of them is Nebraska. I think there's 2 states that do that.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Delaware seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 3 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 3 votes for vice president.
We'll get into some news after this, though. As long as I don't throw up again. Or maybe even as I do.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the District of Columbia seems to be irregular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 3 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 3 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Florida seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 30 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 30 votes for vice president.
Georgia.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Georgia seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 16 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 16 votes for vice president.
Now, I thought for sure someone would stand up and object to that. I'm curious.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Hawaii seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 4 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 4 votes for vice president.
Yes, the question in the chat. Seriously. Or no, do you understand you could have taken the day off, had your meds, and passed out, and we would have understood and accepted. Oh, I know. But I'm home all day alone doing nothing, so what the hell?
Trump of the state of Florida received 4 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 4 votes for vice president.
Oh, that's a good question, AD. They could have just had one person do it. I think they have to hand them the packet.
The certificate
I don't know why they do it this way.
The electoral vote of the state of Illinois seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 19 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 19 votes for vice president.
Oh, boy.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Indiana seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 11 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 11 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Iowa seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 6 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 6 votes for vice president.
Okay,
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Kansas.
How many people do you think are going to get up and object? Let's do an over-under. In fact, let's.
That Donald J. Trump
I'll do a Q&A,
Florida received
and you can
6 votes
put your
for
bet in the Q&A.
J.D.
Give me a
Vance
second.
of the state of Ohio received 6 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the Commonwealth of Kentucky seems to be regular in form and authentic, and appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 8 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 8 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Louisiana seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 8 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 8 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of
How
the electoral
humiliating
vote
is
of
this
the
for
state of
Kamala
Maine
Harris?
seems to be regular in
They
form and
got something
authentic,
up their sleeves.
and
I
it appears
guarantee it.
therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California.
Yeah, this will be boring
received
until they're
3
done with
votes
this,
for
but I want to see the
president,
fireworks
Donald J.
afterwards.
Trump
Good morning,
of the state of
Jack
Florida
O's, Freudstein,
received
and
1 vote
also
for president, and Tim
Sapphire
Walz of the
Dragon.
state of
What's
Minnesota
up?
received 3 votes for vice president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 1 vote for vice president.
What's all the buzz?
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Maryland seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California
That's
received
where,
10 votes for president,
all the Washington
and Tim
federal
Walz
workers
of the state
live.
of Minnesota received 10 votes
And federal
for
workers
vice
love them,
president.
some Democrats.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom
Massachusetts,
that
we're
Kamala
almost
D.
halfway
Harris
through.
of the state of California received 11 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 11
Getting
votes
close.
for vice president.
Getting close.
Madam President, the certificate
Jeffrey's got
of
a
the
shit-eating
electoral
grin
vote
on
of
his
the
face.
state of Michigan seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 15 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 15 votes for vice president. Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Minnesota seems to be regular in
Yeah, nobody
form
cares
and
except
authentic,
for
and
us
it
in
appears
Minnesota.
therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 10 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 10 votes for vice president.
They barely, for considering Walz is on the ballot, they didn't do as good as you'd think.
Madam President, the
Mississippi?
certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Mississippi seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida
Not
received
yet, Tyler
6
F.
votes for president, and J.D.
When they're
Vance
done
of
counting the
state
votes,
of
then they'll probably
Ohio
get the objections.
Received 6 votes for vice president.
And they're going to bring up the 14th Amendment, I bet. But if they do, here's the thing. It's not going to change the party, because let's say they find a way to get rid of Donald Trump.
The state of Missouri seems to be regular in
We're still going to have J.D. Vance,
Appears therefrom
who's the vice
that
president.
Donald
That's
J.
where it
Trump of
goes.
the
So
state of Florida
do they want
received
President
10
Vance or
votes
not?
for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 10 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Montana seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 4 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 4 votes for vice president.
I'm just waiting for one of these swing states to put a different total up. But maybe they won't.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Nebraska seems to be regular
Split.
in form and authentic.
They split theirs.
And it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 4 votes for president, and Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 1 vote for president. And J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 4 votes for vice president. And Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 1 vote for vice
God.
president.
Thank you, Avocado Stably. First sponsor of the day, and you are
the
new Streamlab Superstar sponsor of the day. Says your Q&A question is very ableist. Tammy Duckworth will object, but she won't be standing
The
up
certificate
to
of
do
the
it. Oh my
electoral
God.
vote
She has some
of the
fake
state
legs
of
she walks
Nevada
on.
seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 6 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 6 votes for vice president.
Oh, the reason they're
Madam
calling
President, the certificate of the electoral vote.
they call Kamala the president because she's technically the president of the Senate right now.
It appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 4 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 4 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of New Jersey seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 14 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 14 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of New Mexico seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 5 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 5 votes for vice president. Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of New York seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 28 votes for president. Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 28 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of North Carolina seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 16 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 16 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of North Dakota seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 3 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 3 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Ohio seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 17 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 17 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Oklahoma seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 7 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 7 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Oregon seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 8 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 8 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 19 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 19 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Rhode Island seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 4 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 4 votes for vice president.
Big Dro, appreciate it. And with an 831 in the tip jar. And
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of South Carolina.
Big Trev says if Kamala had won, I'd take it for the team and sleep with her drunk ass to keep her from doing presidential work every day, even if it causes me pain. Well, you know.
Of the state of Ohio received 9
way to
votes
take one for the team,
vice
Drew.
president.
That would be very gallant of you.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of South Dakota seems to be regular in form and authentic. And it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 3 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 3 votes for vice president.
Okay, next. Susan Collins doesn't look happy. What's wrong with her?
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Tennessee seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 11 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 11 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Texas seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 40 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 40 votes for vice president.
Seven left to go, and then we'll see what happens.
The certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Utah seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 6 votes for president, and J.D. Vance from the state of Ohio received 6 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Vermont seems to be regular in form and authentic. And it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 3 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 3 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the Commonwealth of Virginia seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 13 votes for president, and Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 13 votes for vice president.
So Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming are left. 4 more. Oh, she don't look happy down there. Oh, you see that lady? She didn't look very happy.
Of the state of Washington seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Kamala D. Harris of the state of California
sticks for president.
12 votes for president.
Damn right.
And Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota received 12 votes for vice president.
What is it? West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of West Virginia seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 4 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 4 votes for vice president.
Okay.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the great state of Wisconsin seems to be regular in form and authentic. And it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 10 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 10 votes for vice president.
Madam President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Wyoming
Okay, this is the last one.
Regular, in form, and authentic. And it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 3 votes for president. And
Yeah,
J.D.
I know. I
Vance
noticed that. I was
of the
going
state of
to
Ohio
adjust the camera.
received 3 votes for vice president.
For some reason, yellow. I don't know if I can fix that.
Members of Congress, the certificates having been read, the tellers will ascertain and deliver the result to the President of the Senate.
That doesn't work. Saturation rate?
The undersigned, Deb Fisher and Amy Klobuchar, tellers on the part of the Senate, and Brian Steele and Joseph Morelle, tellers on the part of the House of Representatives, report the following as the result of the ascertainment and counting of the electoral vote for President and Vice President of the United States for the term beginning on the 20th day of January, 2025.
All right, let's find the objections. Let's go. I want to hear it. Everything turned blue.
For the President of the United States,
I think they've been told to be on their best behavior.
The President of the Senate is as follows. The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris
Shut the fuck up.
Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes.
All right, let's see. I got a feeling they've been told to be on their best behavior. Hello, HP Lovecraft. What's up? Toby Midnight, the Heretic, welcome.
The number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 207.
Didn't you already say that?
The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio has received 312
Is she repeating herself, or did I accidentally go backwards? Oh, that's for the Vice President. I got you.
Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota has received 226 votes.
Coach! Way to go, Coach. Where are you at, Coach? I don't know why this yellow doesn't work on here. That's
this
all right.
announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected, President and Vice President of the United States, each for a term beginning on the 20th day of January 2025, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the House and the Senate. Thank you very much.
Well, they've been told to be on their best behavior. Is that really going to be it? No objections? Oh. And you know why? Because they don't.
The Senate having been concluded pursuant to Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 2, the 119th Congress, the chair declares this joint session dissolved. Thank you.
Okay, so they have their talking point now. They have their talking point. That nobody claimed that it was a rigged election, and they can say Donald Trump is a baby because he couldn't concede an election. They successfully kept their people in check, which certainly didn't happen in 2016, or excuse me, 2017. Yeah, I'm surprised Hank Johnson. There's Hank Johnson, the dumbest member of the United States Congress. Fascinating. It's quite fascinating that they were able to have them keep all their mouths shut. So again, but you know why? And I predicted this when I was talking to my wife about this. I said they're going to be silent because they want to be able to pretend that they're the betters. But if you go back to 2017, January 6, 2017, when all those people got up and objected, that gave the Republicans a talking point. And so the idea that Democrats are not election deniers is kind of humorous. So there you go. That's all for that. I do have some news today, too. I was expecting fireworks. I really was. Anyway, if you want to watch that again, I don't know why the hell you would, but the links will be in the chat in the description down below. Let's check in the live or this Q&A. Who said, or how many objections do you think we'll get? So here we go. Only a few people voted. Somnambull Nation 12. Avocados Diabli 9,123. Lord Sano between 5 and 10, maybe 7. Avocados Diabli, then 7. You seem to have voted multiple times. Boneheaded Dumbass, all of them. Avocados Diabli, well, 8 people will object, but one of them will be Tammy Duckworth, but she won't be standing to do it. God damn it. She has prosthetic legs that she stands on when she's in the Congress. But anyway, Lord Stand Up, to be honest, wouldn't be shocked if they feel so defeated that they won't object. Just take the L and plan for the next time. Yeah, that's it. You got it. And Selected Boy 27. Okay, so Lord Stanhope, you win the pool, which I don't even know what's in the pool. But anyway. All right, should we go on to some news? Let's turn this shit off. Let's pause that. I don't need to hear that anymore. That link will be in the chat. So there's other things going on, by the way. The biggest news today, Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau resigned this morning. We were wondering if it was going to happen soon. Here's the Ace of Spades blog entry on this. Canada's first race play authoritarian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announces resignation as both Liberal Party leader and the Prime Minister. So there you go. First working day of 2025. Trudeau has finally been forced out. The vibe shift collects a juicy blackface scalp. Unfortunately, he hasn't been resigned. Oh, he hasn't resigned yet. He announced it. But wait a minute. I don't understand. Maybe he did. No, he has. Oh, he did this morning at 10:12 a.m. I don't know what time zone that's in. Let's see. Unfortunately, he hasn't resigned yet. He says he'll resign after the Liberal Party has a campaign and election for the new party leader. I don't know how long that will take. Update, I think he suspended Parliament until March 24th. Hopefully that means he'll be out before then. But here's Russell Brand says he did.
Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. The course of my career,
your future.
Success I have
how about Canada's future?
Has been because of their support and with their.
What has he achieved? Anybody?
So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision.
Oh, he just told them last night over dinner. Oh, he's writing a narrative.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister.
Okay, he hasn't officially resigned yet.
Its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
Don't let the door hit you in the ass. Okay, so there you go. Let's see. Other people talking about that. Oh, dear Trudeau. Okay, let's get the fuck. Okay, Trudeau. Jonathan Shirley reminds us that Trudeau, bastard, illegitimate son of communist thug Castro, was the most anti-democratic, tyrannical Canadian Prime Minister in history. 2 years ago, I wrote a column denouncing Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's use of a counter-terrorism law to shut down the Freedom Convoy truckers' protests as an authoritarian attack on free speech. Now, a Canadian court has agreed and ruled that the use of the Emergencies Act was unlawful and unreasonable. Despite Trudeau's attacks on civil liberties, he remains a favorite of the media as an iconic figure on the left. Yeah, well, he's a douchebag too. Despite his authoritarianism and drive to end civil liberties, he remains an iconic figure of the left. Despite what? Turley, you are not based and it's not despite his authoritarian drive that the left loves him, but because of it. Yes. And then they showed some footage from that in that link. And let's see. While other countries prosecuted citizens who went abroad to fight with ISIS, in 2017, Justin Trudeau said he'd welcome ISIS fighter into Canada, saying they could be rehabilitated. Oh, my God. Here's Trudeau back in 2017.
While other countries are prosecuting citizens who went abroad to fight for ISIS, Trudeau believes some returning home to Canada can still be rehabilitated.
There's a range of experiences when people come home, and we know that actually someone who has engaged and turned away from that hateful ideology can be an extraordinarily powerful voice for preventing radicalism.
All right. I don't see a whole lot of the Canadians in here today. If you're here, shout out to Justin Trudeau. So anyway, all right. So other things trending because of that. Oh, shoot. I didn't even open any of these tabs. Well, let's do this. What I have here on the list. Justin Trudeau, Canadians. Here, let's move the locals over there. Let's see. Let's go into Explore tab here real quick. I didn't open tabs today because I just didn't fucking feel like it. Okay, obviously Canada's trending because of Justin Trudeau. Let's see what's going on in this tab. Let's see. Sorry, I'm doing this on the fly. Oh, leave it muted. Oh, I had it down low, too low. You couldn't hear it. Sorry. Let's see. Canada's trending. It may take decades to fix the damage Trudeau has done to Canada, but it's a start. My eyes are filled with tears that we may have a chance. He's going to resign. Pierre Poilievre is also trending. I'm not going to talk anymore about this, but the other things in here. Poilievre is trending. And I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. And Macron is trending. Now, Macron is trending. France is trending because he's mad at Elon Musk. Let's find that one. If he's still trending, Kamala Harris is trending. Here's Macron. Macron is mad at Elon Musk. Of course, a lot of people are mad at Elon Musk. Hell, I'm mad at Elon Musk. But let's see. Macron. Here it is. Macron and all governments in meltdown as they try to control information on social media. It isn't the misinformation they're worried about. It's the revelations of the truth that we will see, them and try to ban it. What is he saying here? He's probably speaking in French. Let me translate.
Who would have thought? There you go saying, if we had been told that the owner of one of the largest social networks in the world would support a new international reactionary movement and directly intervene in elections, including in Germany, who would have imagined it? This is the world in which we live and in which we are going to do diplomania. Who would have thought?
Okay, so he's mad about the fact that people are getting to talk around the government, and so governments are talking about ways they can rein in X, the app formerly known as Twitter, and Elon Musk. And I don't think the people are having it. The people are like, nah, we get to finally actually hear y'all. We get to hear y'all. Hello, random American, by the way. Let's see, somebody named Deb Fisher is trending. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, here. Thank you. By the way, thank you, Reaction Puerto Rico, dropping a deuce in the tip jar saying he will go to Cuba and assume will he go to Cuba and assume power? Yeah, he probably will. I mean, he's the rightful heir to the Castro dynasty. I mean, certainly there's got to be a nice inheritance there for him because Castro was a multi-billionaire on the backs of the Cuban people. So there you go. Apparently, Deb Fisher, senator from Nebraska, is trending. Wait, what? They say, wow, Senator Deb Fisher from Nebraska refused to shake Kamala's hand and can barely look her in the eye. Because I think she ends up shaking her hand. But here's what they're talking about.
Do you solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution?
I think she just didn't know what order to do it in. Because she ends up shaking hands with it. But this is what the people are saying. There we go.
Hi. Do you want to come here, Bruce?
Come here.
In the middle. Scoot over a little. No. It's okay. I won't bite. I'm not gonna bite. Don't worry. Okay.
Yeah, you might bite.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States? Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Oh, no, what do you mean she refused to shake her hand? She shook her hand.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Oh, her husband refused. Her husband refused to shake hands with Kamala Harris. Cammie's keeping a good smile, though. She's keeping a...
Ready? 1, 2, and 3.
Cammie kept a stiff upper lip.
Thank you.
All right, I misunderstood the post. All right, so who cares? That's dumb shit. What are some other things trending here? Oh my God, I don't feel good. Let's see. I did Macron. What was the other thing I had up here? Oh, well, obviously January 6th is trending, but people aren't. Oh, Sunny Hostin. That's the one I wanted to do. I think I even opened that tab. Did I? No, I didn't. Well, let's open the Sunny Hostin tab because, of course, Sunny Hostin said something stupid regarding January 6th. And Sunny Hostin compares January 6th to the Holocaust where millions of Jews died. I thought Kamala Harris comparing J6 to 9/11 was insane. This tops that. Hostin also compared January 6th to slavery during a bizarre rant. Here's the rant by Sunny Hostin on, obviously, The View.
I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. And then you started seeing people backtrack that. And not,
now that we got more information.
You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. I say no. You don't move on because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American,
if you can't compare that to any of the other riots that happened at the Capitol or not at the Capitol, then you're just being disingenuous. You just are. You're just full of shit.
History, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel.
Holy shit. Why is she wearing a Partridge Family intro sweater? Yeah, I'm wondering about that myself. What is wrong with her? You got to be kidding me. It's part of it, though. Here's the problem. From that very day, we had news media and politicians on the left claiming that one, that it was an attack on the Capitol, that it was an insurrection. They've used that word over and over and over again for, the last 4 years, calling it an insurrection when that is not even close to being the definition of an insurrection, first of all. And number two, because, so many of them have this hyperbolic thing, claiming that they killed 5 police officers. No, not a single officer died as a result of January 6th. One had a stroke and a couple others committed suicide or whatever. But they still, to this day, claim that they killed Brian Sicknick. And the thing is, this morning I saw a post from Brian Sicknick's father, who I understand is mourning his son. But he blames Donald Trump for his son having a stroke? That doesn't add up. That doesn't add up. Let's let her finish here.
Well, slavery,
yeah,
we need to never forget, because past becomes prologue if you forget any race. I want to ask you.
Yeah. That's insane. That's just insane. I'm sorry. That's so dumb. So dumb. What were the other things I had here? And then January 6th, National Guard, all kinds of stuff about January 6th trending. I didn't make a link for Sunny. I'll put Sunny in the links today if you want to see that later. Oh my God. I'm trying not to make a visual here. What was the other one? Oh, let's just. Some people wrote Happy J6. That's kind of weird. Oh, did you hear about this? Someone, Joy Taylor. Apparently, she's an ESPN person who slept her way to the top, like literally. I don't know. It's trending. I don't care. Where is it here? Where's the Happy J6? Let's see what the Happy J6 one says. Mainly, people are saying Happy J6 because they are counting the votes today, I'm assuming. Someone says Happy J6 to all, especially the innocent people who were stripped from their families and caged with real animals. People who were just roaming around the Capitol building. Because they forget to show you, they show you the images of the police, fighting with protesters, right? And that's all they show you. There's 46,000 hours of video that they had from the J6 committee. But they show you if it bleeds, it leads shots, okay, when they're fighting with cops. They don't show you, though, that before those people started fighting with the cops, that it was very peaceful until they started throwing flashbangs in the crowd, and then some of the cops started beating people with their batons, their nightsticks, whatever you call them. So here's some of the sites. Let's see here. These were not the insurrectionists. These were the sites.
There's quite a bit of video you haven't seen, and that video tells a very different story about what happened on January 6th. More than 40,000 hours of surveillance footage from in and around the Capitol have been withheld from the public. And once you see the video, you'll understand why. Taken as a whole, the video record does not support the claim that January 6th was an insurrection. In fact, it demolishes that claim. And that's exactly why the Democratic Party and its allies in the media prevented you from seeing it. These were not insurrectionists, they were sightseers. Footage from inside the Capitol overturns the story you've heard about January 6th. Protesters queue up in neat little lines. They give each other tours outside the Speaker's office. They take cheerful selfies and they smile. They're not destroying the Capitol, they obviously revere the Capitol. They're there because they believe the election was stolen from them. They believe in the system. Here's the man you've heard referred to as the QAnon shaman outside the Senate chamber.
No, show him giving us
These are not rioters. These are people who wandered over from a political rally.
Now,
okay, so there's that. Let's see what else is on here. Happy J6 to those who celebrate. Don't forget to kick a 20 into the Alex Jones was right jar. Don't get entrapped by these unimpressive people. There you go. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene headed to certify the President Trump's historic election. Happy J6 to all. This one's better than the last. Certainly, it certainly is. Definitely a lot of snow in Washington right now. More proof of global warming. Oh wow, this is not cool. Ashley Babbitt is 4 years sober today. Holy shit, that's rough. I mean, look, it's harsh, but I guess the left can kind of meme. Happy J6, our politicians kept telling us it was an insurrection. It wasn't an insurrection. It was a day of reckoning, and it terrified them. God bless the J6ers. Okay, that's interesting. And then here again is the history books will laugh at this. We fought revolutions, weathered depressions, and stared evil in the face. But sure, let's cry about the Capitol on January 6th. Let's see what this is. Is this Tucker's thing again? I don't know what this is. Let's see.
We just saw people going right through. There they are.
And our
flag in Statuary Hall. Now that is the area.
Is that the Walt Whitman camera that's capturing those?
No.
Whitman statue.
I'm not sure whether that's the Walt Whitman camera, but what that is the area where the senators process to go into the House for joint sessions.
Wow,
so
look how violent
there
it is.
that they walk.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean,
oh my
we are
gosh.
televising the breach.
Listen,
by the way.
in order to get to the Capitol, I mean, the Capitol is a free
awful.
place to
Look
go.
at
You are
this.
allowed to go to the Capitol. But you got to go through metal detectors. You got to go through security. And when you breach that, you haven't gone through security.
Wow,
and
look
you've
at
got
how
to imagine
they're breaking
that
statues.
is making a lot of the
they're
Capitol
kicking
Police
the
and other
police
folks inside the
officers.
Capitol
My
right
God.
now very,
This is
very
brutal.
uncomfortable and very nervous.
Oh,
We just saw people.
I know. It's
going
just,
right.
it's so funny because This is footage directly from MSNBC. I mean, that's hilarious. Happy J6. Can't let it pass without celebrating one of the greatest tweets of all time. Rest in peace, Norm Macdonald. I love when the violent terrorists made sure to respect the velvet ropes in Statuary Hall. Oh my God, Norm Macdonald's a treasure. So anyway, that's why, obviously, because it is January 6th, some people celebrating the certification of the votes today, which went off without any major bedlam, and then January 6th here. Let's see. I'll just open that. Copy and paste. There we go. So you'll have a link to that. National Guard, Ashley Babbitt, and more. So a lot of stuff about January 6th trending. I do have one article, or a couple articles, a couple things to talk about. The guy, Matthew Livelsberger, I don't know if I read this the other day, but I do want to show this again today. If I didn't. Breaking, Sean Ryan says he's going into hiding following the release of his most recent episode where he shares an email allegedly sent by Matthew Livelsberger before the Trump hotel explosion. So this is the guy who supposedly died in a Cybertruck, self-inflicted wounds. Guest Stan Shoemate says he was sent an email on Tuesday from Livelsberger before the explosion saying that drones over New Jersey were operating by use of a gravitic propulsion system. Only the U.S. and China have this capability, according to the email. Quote, on December 31st, Sam received an email allegedly from Matthew Livelsberger, who would be named as the perpetrator in the detonation of a Tesla Cybertruck at Trump Tower on the following day, Ryan said on YouTube. Here's what the email said, according to Sam Sarr, who is named, what's his name? Sam Sarr, whatever. In case, this is the contents of the email. In case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I'm not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. Then people checked that. It was a 2008. He might have miswrote. Anyway, what we've been seeing with the... Here, I need to drink water. Hang on. What we've been seeing with the drones, quote unquote, is the operational use of a gravitic propulsion systems powered by aircraft, most recently China in the East Coast. But throughout history, the U.S., only we in China have this capability. Our open location for this activity is in the box below. China's been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they use the balloon for Signet and ISAR, which I don't know what that means, which are also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of these balloons in the air at any given time. What is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned AC, they are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. USG needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere on the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive VBIED, so explosive device. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered during the airstrikes in Nimruz province of Afghanistan in 2019 by the administration, Department of Defense, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for those strikes over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of CIVCAS, I don't know what those stand for, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR, and it was supposed to take 6 minutes to scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up, with U.S. fora and agent redacted of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with General Miller's 10 staff on this as well as the response to Baha Murgab. AOBS commander of that time, redacted, can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is mutually assured destruction situation. So, and then he put some vetting information at the bottom. So is there, take it with a grain of salt, is there a government cover-up or what going on with that? But it seems like they've been verifying that this was actually from him. The FBI, I think, verified the email. So that's concerning. Civilian casualties, I would assume that could be, yes, that makes sense. In other news, now we know that Donald Trump's judge in the financial records case, the 34 felonies case, that judge has decided to set Trump's sentencing for that case. Why is that not on the screen? That's where, there we go. In an extraordinary turn, a judge Friday set President-elect Donald Trump's sentencing in his hush money case for January 10th, a little over a week before he is due to return to the White House, but indicated he would not be jailed. The development nevertheless leaves Trump on course to be the first president to take office convicted of felony crimes. Judge Juan M. Merchan, hack, presided over Trump's trial, signaled in a written decision that he'd sentenced the former future president to what's known as an unconditional discharge, in which a case is closed without jail time, fine or probation. Trump can appear virtually for sentencing if he chooses. Merchan wrote that he sought to balance competing interests. No, he didn't. He wants to put a blemish on a case on Trump on a case that will never make it through the appeals process. It's amazing. But he wants to balance competing interests, Trump's ability to govern unencumbered by the case, and the U.S. Supreme Court's July ruling on presidential immunity, the public's expectation that all are equal and no one is above the law, and the importance of protecting the sanctity of the jury verdict. Well, the jury verdict's going to get thrown out anyway, so fuck off. This court simply cannot be persuaded that the first factor outweighs the others at this stage of the proceeding, Merchan wrote in an 18-page decision. He rejected Trump's push to dismiss the verdict, blah, 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 blah. So now the latest news on that is now the Trump team wants them to postpone that. They want to be able to appeal this decision. So set it aside until they can appeal the decision. Just that decision, on whether the sentencing decision. But I don't know why. Maybe you can't appeal something before it's actually done, and that's why he's not doing the complete appeal. That's a case where supposedly they wrote these he wrote these checks to pay back Michael Cohen. Okay. And they're claiming that that's a misdemeanor records case because they filed it as legal expenses, which I think paying for a non-disclosure agreement would be a legal expense, but apparently they're saying that's a misdemeanor for whatever. But the reason it turns into a felony is they're saying because they were trying to defraud the American people on the election in 2016, not giving them full information. Here's the problem. They gave him 34 felony counts for interfering in an election through business records, but the business records were those records, the checks he wrote, those were after election. So how can you conceal something from the American people in an election if it doesn't happen before the election? It happened after the election. So there's a whole lot of problems, plus so many procedural problems. The presidential immunity decision by the Supreme Court would invalidate some of the witnesses in that case. There's so many problems that it doesn't have a chance in hell of making it through the appeals process. But Merchan wants to put a blemish on Donald Trump before he becomes president again. That's the only reason I could see he could justify this. In any sort of way. So, all right. Do I have anything else here? I think I'm going to end it because I'm just not feeling well, as you know. But today is also the last day of Christmas. So Merry Christmas for all of you who, that it's the 12th day of Christmas. My true love gave to me. I don't even know the song anymore. I don't know the order. So anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. And Happy New Year. Obviously today's the last day I'll be saying that. I'm going to take down garland and the tree. We're taking all that shit down. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me on the show. Gotta go though. My name is P-Dog Knight. And I'm out of here. I'll drop those links in the chat as I get out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.